board interview with Fred Miller. Fred, are you with us? I see a Fred. Hi, Fred. And you're on mute. Still got you on, still shows you're muted, Fred.
Good evening.
There we go.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. So, Fred, you have submitted an application to us, a volunteer application for the Zoning Board of Appeals. I've had a chance to review the application. I am sure the rest of our board members have as well. We had a chance to meet you at our last ZBA meeting, just informally for you being in the audience. But if you want to officially just introduce yourself to the board and let us know what led you to wanting to apply for the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Certainly. Again, my name is Fred Miller. I've lived in Raymond pretty much my entire life, other than away a couple of years after getting married. I went to school here in Raymond, all through school, Raymond and Wyndham. I have a business here. It's Miller Flooring. I also am the road manager for Thomas Monteris here. I've been, I think, going on 4 years, either 4 or 5 years. So dealing with Thomas Monteris here, I've had the opportunity to work with several of the code enforcement officers, including Alex, Chris, Scott, also with some the water districts out of our Standish area for some issues, dealing with the road here, and a lot with Nathan White also on different road situations. So doing some research, I came across that the town was looking for some help with a couple of different committees. So I actually thought about it for a while and thought that it would be something to broaden my horizon too, also on what I'm dealing with here on a day-to-day basis of being a road manager, and give me some, like I said, more insight about what you guys do and what's actually out there for laws.
Excellent. I appreciate the fact that you're willing to volunteer in the town. We joke about it. There's no pay to this, so it's all done based on people being willing to serve in the community. So I really appreciate that you're willing to do that.
I get involved with a lot of voluntary stuff. I don't know, it's a gratification for me to be able to help people and help with different things.
Good, thank you. A couple of things to just ask about. We do have meetings, which are always, when there's something on the agenda, it will be the last Tuesday of the month. And then site walks are the Saturday, 10 days prior to a meeting. And I'm pretty sure on either the application or somewhere, they say that these ZBA meetings only last an hour. That's typically not been my experience. They typically seem to run 90 minutes to 2 hours. I don't know if that's because I talk too much or what, but do either the site walks or the timings of the meetings or the length of time, is that restrictive to you at all? Is that something that you would be able to attend?
Yeah, I could attend them. I mean, again, where I own my own business, I have that flexibility, to be able to do stuff, during the day if it's needed. So.
Okay. And I know it's been asked of potential candidates as well in the past, as you saw tonight, and you sat in on that workshop a couple of weeks ago, or well, I guess a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, with the town attorney. Clearly we have to follow our ordinances as best as we can, and sometimes that's open to interpretation. Again, as best we can, because we don't always have specifics, and those don't always lead to decisions that are, ones that go well, say for the applicant, and just, are you okay with putting yourself in a situation where potentially, it's situations of just coming to a decision that may not make everybody happy. Is that something that you're okay with doing?
Mhm. Well, I mean, you're following the rules and the law. So, I mean, it's not what your personal feelings is. It's what you have to work with. Exactly, as you guys were talking about earlier. And the same again, like I was at that meeting when the lawyer was there, and I learned a lot about that I didn't really think about being part of what you guys really do. I mean, you got to take your emotions out of that and put, what is available for you to work with,
Yep.
for the right tools, and I can understand where your emotions can kind of get into there a little bit, and I think you have to be able to cut them off and put them aside and go with what you really have to do. And I understand that.
So Greg Dean or Tom Hennessy, do you have any questions or comments for Fred?
Yeah, I think I have a pretty favorable opinion of Fred already after sitting through the lengthy session with the lawyer, and I mean, you figured out the mute button. I mean, it's all looking good from my perspective. So no real questions. Good to see that you've been volunteering in your community and other facets. So I think thank you for volunteering for the ZBA.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This is Tom. I guess my only comment is after withstanding 2 meetings, we haven't scared you off, and you said all the right words about knowing what a code enforcement officer is, and I think you're already ahead of the game. So
Thank you.
So, yeah. So I will go ahead and make a motion that we approve Frederick S. Miller Sr.'s application for the ZBA board, that we recommend him for approval. And
I'll second.
so we'll have to do all in favor of that. Tom Hennessy, yes or no?
In favor.
Greg Dean?
In favor.
David Murch in favor as well. So Fred, I think Sandy may be in touch with you, but I believe the next steps are your application with our recommendation gets sent to the select board. And then I believe the select board at their next meeting that they're available to would then sort of have their own interview with you. And then they would make the final decision as to whether or not you would be on the board.
Okay.
That is absolutely correct, David. So yeah, I will get this to Sue Look tomorrow. And when she tells me when it's on the select board agenda, I will be in touch with you, Fred.
Okay. And I can either do Zoom or in person. So.
Yeah, I think they're doing via Zoom now as well, but I'll let you know that as well at the time.
Thank you.
And well, thank you again,
and
Fred, for volunteering. It's greatly appreciated.
exactly.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Nice
Fred.
to know we'll have another member.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. One quick item, which is not in our agenda, but we are doing a Zoom meeting tonight. Seems wise to discuss Zoom meetings and what that looks like for the near future. Sandy, do you have any additional feedback for us outside of what came from Sue Look and saying that the Board of Selectmen is doing Zoom only for now, and the Raymond office is, I don't know, feedback?
Yeah, we're back to having everybody that comes in the office wear a mask. And all the boards that I know of, the select board, planning board, and they've gone to just Zoom for now, probably through the winter, possibly longer, because who knows how many more variants we're gonna have. So it kind of makes sense, I think, for this board to go this way as well.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I'm going to have to be on Zoom for a few meetings because I get a hip replacement on February 7th.
David, would you, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but would you entertain a motion now to meet with remotely through Zoom until we change that again?
Yeah, I have one quick question for Sandy. You said the other boards are doing it for now. What is their trigger to reconsider that?
Oh, just until we see what changes. So it's kind of it's a for now, but indefinite at this point.
Okay,
So yeah, until something else changes and the boards make different votes, they're gonna continue.
okay. Is this something we need to like make a motion and vote on, or can we just informally say, yeah, let's just go Zoom for now until things change or something triggers and we decide to make a change? Does anybody know?
Alex, I don't think the planning board did it by emotion, right? They just said, let's do Zoom. So yeah, I'm sure as long as you guys all agree, that's all we need to know.
I'm
Is
good
that-
moving forward with Zoom.
So we'll vote without a motion. I like
I'm good with Zooming.
Yeah, all right. So we'll informally say Zoom only for now, and then at some meeting or conversation
Right, when
with
I
Sandy,
hear of anything that changes and other boards are gonna change, I'll definitely fill you in.
okay. So Fred, we'll be optimistic that you will be on the board in the near future. So just
Okay.
be aware that we'll be doing Zoom meetings.
Okay, thank you.
And next to last on our agenda, Code Enforcement Officer Communications. To you, Alex.
Yeah. One thing I did want to share though on that last or the appeal, I'll reach out to the Hollands just to let them know. I do believe I told them this in August. If they were to try and pursue a real estate attorney to try and investigate the status of that right of way, they may find it's an old subdivision. I'm not sure. They're
Anybody
next.
else having issues with Alex's audio? Sorry to interrupt you, Alex.
Yeah, no,
I
he's
just-
broken up on mine too.
Okay,
Yep,
sorry.
me too.
Yeah, it kind of comes in and then it goes out, in and out.
Maybe
You
I'm
might be
too far
moving.
away.
Yeah, I think you're moving. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that I had mentioned to them originally, which is now their next and only step, I think, to try and explore this, would be to see if they can find out if the road is still owned by anyone, or if it has just been, if it's a right of way and the the ownership of the actual right of way is actually by the property owners on each side of the road to the center line. They may actually own the land under the right of way, which may allow them to do a 10-foot setback from the front instead of the 30-foot setback without needing a variance because of that funky thing in the ordinance. If that were the case, then that would open up the building envelope for them, and they could get a building permit to, as long as they meet all the other things, to put a structure on, a single family on the lot. And then if the setback reduction doesn't go away, for example, stays as is, they may be able to come in and actually apply for a setback reduction from the side to build that deck like they wanted to. So that's really their only option, I think, at this point. I'll probably reach out to him and let him know that, or remind him that that's something he may want to just look into. It's a long shot, but it is a glimmer of hope, I think, if they want to try to, pursue that further.
Sure. Yep.
Would
So-
that setback variance that we were considering adding? I mean, you mentioned it this summer when you changed the ordinances.
Yeah.
Will that also help them, or was I way off on terms of?
Well, that's where I was headed next.
Okay,
The
sorry.
planning board. The planning board has been reviewing the ordinance amendments for this year, and a couple of them were prompted by you guys. The first one, the big one, is possibly striking out the setback reduction language from our ordinances, from land use and shoreline zone provisions. A big change. I kind of presented that to them at their January meeting, and they were, I guess, neutral on it, and basically said, if that's going to help clear up things for the ZBA, then let's at least put it on. They likely will not make a recommendation. So for the warrants, they'll always either say, the planning board recommends or does not recommend when it goes to the select board of the town for vote. In this situation, they're probably not going to make any recommendation because they kind of felt that, it doesn't really affect them much. It really affects you guys. So they're not thinking of making a recommendation. But that will probably go forward. One of the things the attorney and I have been talking about is where the land use ordinance does have that second variance for a single family home, very similar to what these guys are trying to do, just coming in and get a variance to build a single family home. You can go down to, or you can reduce the setback by 20%. So you can't do 50% or more, it's got to be 20%. You still have to meet hardship criteria, but you don't have to meet the criteria, the big one, which is the property can still yield a reasonable return. The problem is you do still need to meet pretty much all of the other hardship criteria. And I believe you actually voted that you didn't feel it met a couple of those tonight. So I don't know, even if that does get put into the shoreline zoning provisions in June, I don't know that they would be able to get a variance because, I think one of them is still characteristics of the neighborhood, for example, stuff like that. So it's basically just removing that one, bullet from the criteria, which does make it easier. Like you said, it is an easier version of a variance, but it's just for a single family home, for someone to come in and build a house. So I think it does make sense to put that in the shoreline zoning provisions because it is in the land use ordinance. And if we're going to get rid of the setback reductions, it does create another option for people. And then, like you guys had discussed, we'll put something in there to make it clear that the two sections are different and not to be reviewed together and go with that. And then other than that, they are reviewing the outdoor sales and service item, which we ran into for that conditional use. It sounds like they're in favor of updating that to allow that specific conditional use to be done outdoors. We discussed that here of is it, for items for outdoor use inside a building, because if that's the case, then it meets conditional uses. But if it's truly outside, then it doesn't meet that conditional use requirement, which it has to be done inside of a building. So it sounds like we're going to put that forward at the planning board level to change the conditional use standards to say that the restriction that it needs to be in a building doesn't apply for outdoor sales and service, which we'll then also define in the ordinance because there was no definition. So those things are all happening. We have another workshop Thursday night with the planning board to discuss the ordinance amendments. We're up to nine amendments, which really is much more than 9 because there's quite a few that are lumped together. But the plan right now, I believe, Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're planning on doing a public hearing in March on these.
Yeah, this one, the one Thursday night is to allow public comment, but we're not doing the public hearing yet. That's supposed to be then for March.
Yeah.
I guess depending how everything goes in the next workshops.
So what's the difference between public comment and public hearing?
Really nothing. A public
Okay.
hearing we're required to do, and there's notification that's required. We have to post it in the newspaper and all that fun stuff.
Okay.
Public comment was really just to make it clear that we're accepting comments from the public at this point. If there's anything that people have seen or have thoughts on. That's pretty much it, though. You guys will have Sandy. We did get that appeal, that administrative appeal, right?
Yes, and I
that's
believe I already
gone out?
sent that out to you guys. Yeah, because I put in the memo how bizarre it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's a
So
little different.
basically, yeah, we'll have a meeting next month for that appeal that you guys are literally going to bring it up and table it. So that'll make up for some of the time tonight. You get that
And there-
time back next meeting.
Hey,
Can we
Sandy,
just table it right now?
a quick question. Hey, Sandy, will we see a copy of Alex's NOV before the next meeting?
Yeah, we can get that out to you guys.
Yeah,
Um,
I can send that out in an email.
Yeah,
Thank
just
you.
remind me, Sandy, to send that to you tomorrow. Actually, yeah, I'll send it to you tomorrow. You weren't copied on the emails for that. So it's actually,
I can do it,
Well,
Alex,
yeah.
that's fine.
we'll get it to you tomorrow. And the reason for that, I think they explained it in there, but essentially the town has agreed to work with them on kind of a mediation. You know, we're talking with them about what we want in the remediation plan, and they are willing to work with us on, you know, what we want done, but they don't want to lose their right to appeal. Because obviously if, you know, the conversation goes south, it likely will end up going to court. So they're going to probably want to appeal to you guys before it goes to court. So that's kind of why that happens. So
Right, because if they didn't appeal it by the 18th, they would have lost that
right.
opportunity.
So that's that. That's pretty much all I have.
Sandy, is there anything other than this appeal which we'll need to table? Is there anything else coming up next month?
Nope, nothing else came in, so. So I say you'll get back a lot of tonight's time on the
Very well.
22nd, I believe is the meeting.
Okay, Greg or Tom, anything else for tonight?
I'll just let you know that I'll be zooming in no matter what next month, so.
You and me both, Tom.
And I'm hoping there's no site walk next month.
There won't
can't
be because it's an administrative appeal.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so I will make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All right, in favor, Greg Dean.
In favor?
Oh, favor,
Hennessy,
in
Jake
favor.
March in favor. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Good
Thank you.
night.
See ya.
And one of the things I was going to say before that thing went off is those meetings before, when they were going to close Jordan Small before, were horrendous. They were so bad. They were so mean. It was awful. It was bad. And if people were very worried about Jordan Small closing, I think we had 12 people on, and this wasn't including Kate and Christina, 12 people on Monday, 13 people on Tuesday. We've got maybe 10 emails, 10, 11 emails. To me, that kind of says a lot, because if people were worried about it, they'd be coming. I know some people left to go to a PTO meeting, and to me, if a PTO meeting is more important than Jordan Small School, that does say a lot also. So I'm taking a lot of everything and putting it all together. And so, you know, it is a big thing. It is, but I think it's a great opportunity for the kids. I really do.
What can make it more acceptable or more tasty, let's put it that way, to parents and to the students, is if it is named not just Wyndham Middle School, but Wyndham Raymond Middle School contains our
Raymond in there too.
signature on it, yes.
I put it in Chris's ear that you had, you know, that you did have a concern about that, so yeah.
I did, yeah.
Good, yeah. So, now, I'm gonna ask the public. Anybody in the public would like to speak up now? Go ahead, Mike. Say your name.
Good evening, I'm Mike McClellan. I live on beautiful Pismire Mountain Road, Pismire Mountain in Raymond, and I am one of the 3 Raymond members of the school committee, and the other 2 are here as well as our chair, and as well as the superintendent, who I assume is going to speak in a few. And I just want to say 2 quick things. One is, I said this the other night at our school board meeting, and I want to say it here, is this all kind of fell in our lap kind of suddenly, and I wanted to commend you guys for how quick you reacted to our overtures for help and how should we do this, and you guys have been with us the whole way through. So I wanted to say that. And then secondly, I think numerous times, we had 2 public forums, Monday and Tuesday last week, when some of you were there. I think numerous times I looked at the chair and said, we're going to vote on this at the next meeting. And it turns out the state has given us, and Chris, I think we'll talk about this, the state has given us a little more time. So we're not, my understanding is we're not going to vote on this at our next meeting, which is next week, I think the 20th, which is Wednesday.
Okay,
So just want to share those 2 things.
thank you. Anybody else want to speak? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Scott Powers, and I live on North Raymond Road. So I live like on the other end of Raymond, and I have one daughter that's at Jordan's Mall right now, and obviously it won't affect her probably. I think that's true. But I have another daughter coming up that's going to be going there, and the first thing that crossed my mind was, and I don't know if we have answers for that yet, is because we're already going to face like a huge time thing, with both of them going to high school way down in Wyndham. The time is really valuable to me, the amount of time that they travel on the road. So I don't know if anybody, again, has any answers for it, but it'd be nice to find out if they're trying to find an area, a property that's somewhere in between. And I totally understand the need for a new facility and all that. Because sometimes you can't retrofit a building, and then is it practical in the long term and all that. So I understand that. But that was one of my concerns.
That's a very good point.
Well, that's good news.
Should I stand down?
You can do whatever. Yeah, whatever. No, I didn't mean it that way either. They're looking for 35 to 40 acres is what they need. They put an ad in the newspaper. So right now, they don't know yet where it's going to be built. So that's what they're in the process of finding land. That's what it is.
So it's just up in there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nick, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Nick Hardy. I live on Meadow Road. I taught middle school for 12 years, and then I was a principal for 15 years, and then I was a consultant working all over the country for 12 years. And I actually worked in one district where kids were on the bus for an hour. And they were very smart. All of their buses had hotspots. All of their kids had laptops. And the kids who were on the bus for an hour mostly finished their homework by the time they got off the bus.
Wow.
So there are things that you can do. As an educator, the quality of the building is, I know it's important, but it's more important the kinds of socialization and curriculum things you were talking about. They're really important. And in terms of unifying kids together, a strong staff who's aware of what kids need will take that into account and will take care of it. So I really support your thinking in this. I think it's a real step up for the kids in Raymond to go to a larger school with more services available. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Louise Lester, 10 Hartley Lane. My question is, if this goes through and everybody goes to the middle school, what happens to Jordan Small building?
That reverts back to the town.
And so at that point, we're going to absorb the maintenance costs of that building as well as our share of the middle school expenses.
Jordan Small Middle School won't be a school anymore if we vote.
I realize that.
Yep.
But it'll become an asset of Raymond.
Yes.
Okay, but we'll have expenses on our budget for the new middle school, certainly. So people are going to have to realize that there'll be some expenses on this building
Right,
once it reverts back, unless you decide to demolish it
right,
or whatever.
right, and that's something we would decide, you know, when it comes back, yep. Anybody else? Chris?
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Chris Howell. I'm the superintendent of schools for RSU 14. First of all, I just want to echo, and I didn't catch your name, but
Nick Hardy.
yeah, Nick, schools really are about the people. You're absolutely right about that. And so the quality of the people that we can have working with our kids and those spaces means more than any middle school site selection, any sort of design of a building. And really the greatest impact we're going to see on student achievement is about the people. So I just want to echo that great statement tonight. So just to kind of talk a little bit about process for the RSU 14 board, I did have a chance after one of the questions, I think it was the Tuesday night, someone asking about timeline, did have a chance to speak to our architect and really needed to find out from them in order to meet their state deadlines, when is their end date. So they're looking for a final decision by Thanksgiving. I think that's what we had talked on the phone this week. So the board is still kind of working through their process, and then ultimately they'll make a decision. And they'll look at and weigh all the evidence and all the comments that they've received to go through the process. And Teresa, I'm glad that you talked about after going through withdrawal process and talking about schools and school closings, to then turn around and talk about schools and school opportunities is a very different discussion. And I know it's brought out all sorts of individuals who've had some great ideas and some great thoughts on how to make this district better. So I applaud all those people who came out to those meetings and had that opportunity to talk. Site selection is a process that we're working through. I know there was a question about that. And, you know, we will look at, there's a state matrix with a state project that looks at everything as far as costs for development, costs for transportation, population density, because ultimately all the taxpayers in the state of Maine are paying for part of this building because this is a state-funded project. And so we will go through that matrix, we'll go through all available properties, and we'll make a decision that works best for all those items within, and we'll consider anything that people bring forward. So again, plug to the public, anyone who has 40 acres that they would like to share with the RSU, any opportunity to have to talk about that. So we will be working through site selection, and again, the last question about facilities. Within our purchasing policy and our disposition of property, when we're done with it, it does revert back to communities. And so what a community then chooses to do with it as we go through our process. As far as closing a school, if that's the direction that the people of Raymond decide, closing a school, a board can do that through construction of a new building, or they can do it through a referendum. And so construction of a new building would satisfy one of those ways to do that. So again, thank you all. I just want to reiterate what Mike said about thank you for addressing this so quickly and for supporting and helping us work through a process. You know, as we continue to go through this, we want to make the best decision moving forward, because this will have implication for years on RSU 14, and we want to make sure that, you know, we're serving our two communities well. So again, thank you for considering this and for your time. And again, if there's questions that come up from people in the community, any of the 3 Raymond board members that are here, Char's here, Kate's here, and Mike, also they can send things to me, and the RSU 14 board will be listening to what the Raymond Select Board says, and we'll be considering that in their deliberations.
Okay. Anybody else?
Char Jewell, 17 Hartley Lane, also a member of the RSU school board. There was a lot of great conversation at the meetings on the 4th and 5th. We've received quite a few emails, some in support, some against. But one of the things that I wanted to take a moment was to go through some of the comments that folks made that may have questions, like this gentleman here. for anyone that's watching this production and wasn't at the meeting on the 4th or 5th, that goes into some of the decision-making. So as it's already been noted, site selection has not been made. And, you know, the hope would be if we decide to have the Raymond students go to the new middle school, that we would be able to find a site that is more central to the geography of the towns. School choice is still an option for Raymond students, for anyone that's not aware. So if you live closer to a different school system that you want your children to go to, you can do that in the town of Raymond.
Only for high school.
For high school.
Only for high school, yes. School staff loss, that was one of the things that people brought up. And, you know, we've got X number of staff that support the 166 kids at Jordan Small currently. And even if they transfer to a new school, you're still going to need the staff to support those 166 children. So if there's staff loss, it would be extremely minimal, in my opinion. That's not based on fact. So Chris, don't shoot me. It would be very minimal. Class sizes would be similar to now. The size of the school that to be built would be built big enough to handle the growth of Raymond as well as Wyndham students. So the class sizes would remain the same as they are now. Bus schedule, we talked about revamping those depending on the location of the school. So obviously that varies. But I love the comment of the schools that have Wi-Fi in them. That's awesome. And then, you know, people have brought up the educational and opportunities and advancements of being in a brand new school with all of the bells and whistles that come with it. And, you know, as much as we would want to be able to retrofit the building sitting next to us that I went to, my daughter went to, I don't see how the opportunities for Raymond students would be exactly the same as Wyndham students in the new middle school. And yes, I have a lot of emotional attachment to the old building. We were in there for a meeting a few weeks ago, and I was walking around telling the rest of the school board members, well, this used to be here, and that used to be here, and that was never there before. So yeah, so the emotional attachment is there. And for me personally, I think, frankly, the length of bus ride is a concern for me, for little kids. But then I think about, well, how often do they go on, you know, other adventures? And they're probably spending a lot of time traveling anyway. So that's maybe not so much of an important factor, but it is something I've thought about. One of the things that Chris went into on the second night was the pod design. So very briefly, yes, there may be, you know, several hundred kids in one class, but they're going to be broken out into groups, into, you know, everybody knows the word cohort now. So they're going to be with the same community of children and teachers and staff every single day, just as they are now in Jordan Small, just their geography is going to change. So no, they're not going to be mixing with 1,000 students or whatever the number ends up being. They're going to mix with their, you know, 50 or 75 or 100 every single day. So that's important to me as well. Of course, the advantages of STEM education in a brand new school with all the bells and whistles, yahoo, hallelujah. We have a number of things to consider. It is a huge, huge deal. One of the other financial important things for me to consider is if Raymond decides not to join the new middle school, any expansion of Jordan Small will be borne by the town of Raymond exclusively. The RSU will not pick that up. So that's a consideration as well from a financial standpoint. So I just wanted to go through some of my important notes from the meeting for anyone that's watching this broadcast.
Yeah,
Thank you
for that. Anybody else? No? All right, I'm gonna put it back on the board then. All right. So, I'm gonna ask, because I know this is a big decision, so I'm gonna ask each person individually, yes or no. Okay? All right, Lonnie, you're going first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. Are you in favor of joining the RSU 14 with the middle school?
Yes.
Okay? Sam?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right,
You
Motion.
probably want a motion.
go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we recommend to our members of the Wyndham Raymond School Board to combine into one middle school. Second.
This is really different from what we were a year ago, but it's a good thing. It is a good thing, so, all in
My
favor?
blood pressure is actually calm.
Yes, it is. All in favor? Yes. Okay, so,
Second motion?
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
1 second. School board members, Chris, Kate, go ahead.
I make a motion that the town of Raymond will donate 45 acres of land off Patricia Avenue for the building of the middle school.
Second.
There's,
There's two.
Contingent on
sorry,
that the school board and the state accept the land to build the middle school on. And secondly, that it passes a town vote to donate that land at no cost.
so saying that, at our next meeting, November, will be a special town meeting, because we can't get everything as far as the ballots and stuff, so we need people here to vote yes on that. So that is something that we want to make sure that we,
It's election day, but what?
Nope.
Second.
no, November 15th, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
whenever our thing is.
November
So,
9th.
yes, November 9th. So yes, so that will be a special town meeting to vote on that, and that way where the school board has a definite from whatever the town you might be. So, any more discussion?
So just to be clear, you're asking for 35 to 40, we're offering you 45 to give you some room.
Some extra ball fields,
Yes.
perhaps.
Up to
Yes.
245.
Again, I'm Chris Howell, Superintendent of RSU 14. I just want to remind the Select Board that the decision for property location and school location, there's a process.
Yep.
And all pieces of property. The RSU Board will gladly consider a piece of property in the matrix, but that piece of property will also be compared to all other
Yep.
pieces of property. I just want everyone to be clear up front. And then ultimately, all of that will then go to a straw poll through a public hearing process.
Yep.
That will take place next October.
Understood.
So I just want to make
And-
sure everyone's clear on that.
Well, that's why we put together.
Yes, the contingencies on it, so we are aware of it. So what happens is that even if you don't build on it, then it'll just stay
Yep.
back with us. Before we vote.
But I just also want to say thank you for putting out the consideration, and just for us to then add that to the matrix
Okay.
for how things get considered.
I think it just shows great partnership between two towns that want to join together as an RSU. Well, there you go.
Right.
That's joining.
Don't go anywhere. Let's take a motion. I mean, all in favor? Okay, it passes.
But I think you ought to have more discussion on the site. If you, and Chris
Well, that's what I was gonna tell him.
and Alex are here to answer questions, but if you use Enterprise Drive to get there, it's only 1.5 miles from Enterprise Drive.
What we're telling you is there's when we came up with this, it started from Dawn, he called, and we've been doing a lot of information. Chris and Alex have got some information as far as some interconnector roads, how far it is from Enterprise Drive up. So Patricia Avenue is not the only way up and down from there. There's different developments that are going in and out of there with possibly sewer, water. So there's a lot of things going on. So they would be really good resources to give you more information on all of that. So that's why we're trying to keep tying everything in before we came to you guys with that. Yes.
No, and I thank you for that. And also, I did have a chance to visit the property with Chris and Alex and Mike, I don't know, several weeks ago. And we'll add it to the matrix and go through the process because the Enterprise Drive to Wyndham, I know the state has looked at that at one point as a bypass. I think that's on their 10-plus year plan to look at that.
You don't know
Look
me,
at
Chris.
that piece.
When I want
So-
something, I push.
So again, just thank you for the generosity of that. And what we have to do as part of this, like we've talked about, the rest of the project is there is a process, and we'll follow that process and we'll consider it within the matrix. And again, thank you for that. That was not something expected tonight, so appreciate that.
No, well, and the vote, we wanted to do the vote next month too to get it in, so at least we know you have a definite yes or no on that too. So,
Great,
yeah.
thank you.
Yes. Cool. So thank you, guys.
How many properties are under consideration?
All right, now, moving on to the next, consideration of memorandum of understanding with the Raymond Public Library. So, bye, guys, thank you.
See you later. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thanks, Chris.
So
Thanks, Alex.
everybody got the library MOU. I just feel like you can go right now. Yeah. All right. The library board is in the back, and they're out here tonight. And in front of you guys, or was sent to you guys, is a memorandum of understanding between the library. And what is outlined is between what the board will do, what the town will do. And they will become underneath the town as a town department. They will be keeping $15,000 for startup costs, and the town will open up a separate account that money will go in there. The library board that is currently there now will become kind of a friends of the library to be a support group for the library director in the town, and a fundraising group is what it is. Any of you guys want to stand up and say anything? Yes, sir.
I just want to point out that the document that was in your packet was a draft, and that there were a couple of typos and a few things highlighted and the word draft on it. That's all been corrected in the document that will be signed tonight if approved, and that end document will be in the minutes.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Deb. Yes, Deb is the president of the library.
Deb, can you address the startup costs, what they're for? The 15,000.
What, the 15,000? Yes. Okay, so my name is Deb Hutchinson. I am the president of the Raymond Village Library's Board of Trustees and also a Raymond resident. And Joe, when we thought about how much money we would really need just in case, to start up, we will have to change the 501(c) to another name. We'll have some lawyer fees. We'll have, what are some of the other things we talked about?
The annual appeal costs several $1,000s.
Yeah, that's true. Our annual appeal is several $1,000s. So when we were doing it, we came up to around between $8,000 and $9,000, and we thought, we've worked really hard to get that money, and we just thought, let's just say 15. So, and we may not need 15. We don't really know because we haven't done this before. But I really just want to thank Teresa for encouraging this process, and to let you know that the board is 100% behind this endeavor. And our library director couldn't be here tonight because she had a death in the family, but she is also in support of this. So, anything else you want to?
So Deb, since a lot of people don't know what's happening,
Yes.
can you address what this MOU is actually doing?
Okay, what this MOU is doing is giving giving the library to the town.
I know everything. I figured everybody else
I
did.
know.
We're not all as smart as you, Teresa.
Right, and that the library director would then become a town employee. So basically, that's it. We would give the building to the town at no cost.
And a lot of people now think the library's underneath the town
do.
too. So yeah, so what we're doing is this way where all their costs will come under the town and be spread out more. And that way, you know, they can still do the fundraising and help support it off that way too. But, and then we're thinking with Allison, with the library, it's going to be working great with the rec department on community events and other things around town with more money.
And we know that this is a process and it has to go through the town, has to go through vote for the town. So we will do our part in helping to promote that as well as we can, once this is approved by everybody tonight.
So your current operating budget's about 120,000, if I remember somewhere.
Yeah, something.
Right. So the town currently gives you 66,000. So the next 54,000 is coming back to the town, right? Am I correct?
Well, we have
Right?
more than that.
More than that.
We have $240,000 in.
No, but.
No, he's
gonna pick up
saying
your
that-
operating.
Okay, gotcha,
So
yes.
it's gonna, yeah, it's
Yeah, so it's gonna be a.
120,000.
I don't do money either, so.
So,
Yeah.
and you have 200 something thousand in that CD at Key Bank or
Right.
wherever it is, like, you know. And that comes back to the town.
Yes.
And the town puts it in a separate account from the
Yes.
library.
Yes.
So it's not gonna have an impact on the town budget because a lot of it will come out of that line item, Don, I assume?
I think the idea was that the line item would be set up as a reserve.
Yes.
And it would be dedicated for a future capital construction project,
Okay.
which I think is really needed. And, but, so I don't think the idea was that it would be used on an annual basis to subsidize the operating budget. However, by keeping the nonprofit, if you will, former board of trustees, whatever the newly incorporated nonprofit becomes, you'll continue to fundraise, continue to seek grants and aid. Of course, the town will do that aggressively, and that money will be there, and I think it would be something as outlined under the MOU we can have a discussion about, but I don't think it was set aside with the idea of being a supplement to the budget.
Okay, so you're thinking it will go into a CIP type of account
Yes.
from the
Yes.
library?
Yes.
Okay.
That way they can pull off of it
Yep.
as they need it, and then what we would do is we would take it under the budget as like a new department.
And you're gonna set up this advisory or whatever board it is.
Right, we have to change our
And
bylaws.
raise money to the
Yes.
library to buy books
And do different programmings and just
Okay.
all in cohorts with the director.
Okay, thank you.
And Allison, as the library department head, will be the liaison through the town with the board.
I'd just like to say for my part, I'm really, really looking forward to this. I think it represents a tremendous opportunity. As somebody mentioned earlier, a lot of folks think it's already a town department, but I think by the town working together, you know, with the former library trustees, with your professional and very good by all reports and accounts, library staff, and library director, I think together, you know, we can take it to a new level and improve it in many ways. And obviously, a significant improvement is, you know, to help with the stability and certainty of funding. And but that's not to say that we aren't still looking for contributions, voluntary contributions, endowments of different types. And so there are, you know, a couple different ways you can look at the library structure. You can have a, you know, private nonprofit, as we've had, or you can have a library department. You can have some kind of a hybrid. So the MOU outlines the relationship, and I've been through this once before in another town, and it worked out very well for all parties concerned. And so it's an exciting thing, and I think it will be a time that, you know, for the user will be transparent. Except I hope that we'll have, you know, more and better offerings, and hopefully at some point a better capital facility. You know, maybe we'll have someday a big building that could be used for such a thing, along with a community center and maybe a town office and some other needs combined. And so this is a watershed moment, and I've enjoyed, you know, attending the meetings via Zoom and working through this process and assisting Teresa. And so that's what it is, and I think it's a good thing for both parties, a really good thing.
I just want to make sure that it's Lee Walker from 12 Rough Road. I just want to make sure that it's very transparent, especially to you, Joe. There are some funds right now. There's a $30,000 grant, and then there are a couple of accounts, one that's designated for automation and one that's designated for books that I believe need to stay with the 501c3 that will be spent under the, under how they were applied for and received in the town. So that money, I believe, needs to stay with the 501c3. I would expect most of that will get spent within this year.
Yeah, that was thought that most
Yeah,
of
I
that
realize I
would
don't-
get spent this year, so because
Right.
ultimately what's got to happen here is that we agree to the MOU, then it has to go to the town meeting for approval. And so the actual kickover isn't until the next fiscal, next fiscal year, so you probably will have spent down those. Because those projects are ongoing, so.
And also just to clarify that we are in our fundraising year, for which, I mean, we have obviously very thankfully the town money that we received through the appropriations, but that we currently raise the money in the budget year that we are in. So we don't know how that's gonna be. We did really well last year. We exceeded every fundraising number that we budgeted, which is why we are in such a strong financial position right now, and we hope that we will have that same amount, but we don't know that. So we don't know what we might need from the reserves in order to meet the needs of the library. I'm not saying we're going to be spending $240,000. That's not going to be a case because we don't operate that way. But I didn't want to just, you can't look at our balance sheet today and say all this money except for the 15 plus the designated are coming to you. I just don't want people to think I'm not telling you, that we're not being honest with you. I just want to make sure that that was all clarified.
Anybody else? All right. Board, what do you think?
I'd make a motion to accept the MOU.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? We like it. We like it.
We're happy too.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Now what we'll do is we'll get this into the budget process and get it to the meeting. Yes. Do you want to come sign that?
Yes, please.
That's funny. See, the timing is everything.
I know, right? Did I spell your name correctly, Deborah?
You did. Good.
I looked you up.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you guys for all coming too.
Thanks. Nick?
All right.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay. Next one, consideration of appointing Suzanne Carr as election warden.
Make a motion to confirm Suzanne Carr as the warden for the November 2nd, 2021 state referendum election. Second.
All in favor? All right. Public comment.
Go ahead, Lonnie, get up there. Say something.
Just anything?
Anything you want.
No.
Shut that mic off.
Yes. All right, selectman comment. I have something.
Oh, what's new?
You know me and my crazy
I
ideas.
haven't had dinner yet, so.
So be nice. You guys know me and my crazy ideas, and you never just say no and shut me down. So thank you for listening with this library and other things that I've come up with. You know, they may be crazy, you guys.
Why would we? We love ideas.
You do.
You know, this board is so diverse
Yes.
in where and what they come from and the whole piece of it all.
But we all kind of have the same goal in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about it. You know, there's no, alternative motives. There's just.
It's all for the better of the town.
Yeah.
They're trying to keep it within tax budget and stuff like that, so,
Yeah.
yes. Anybody else want to say anything?
No, I just.
Yay! Sorry, no, not you. I'm all excited, Sinead. All right, town manager.
Well, we'll start with confirming the dates for the next upcoming regular meetings, November 9th and December 14th. Are we all set?
Yep.
Okay, so I wanted to let you know at long last, we have finally gotten one half of our American Rescue funds. There are $238,850.14 in the bank. So that represents half of what we're going to be due. And originally they were giving us just a month to come up with a plan and make a report, but now that's all been all deliberate governmental speed, federal style. That's been thankfully pushed out till April 30th, 22. And so that'll cover the time from the period of the award until March 31st, 22. So I wanted to tell you about that. We'll be coming back with a plan and a program soon, I hope, with Kathy Goslin, who's heading that up, and Joe Crocker. We're going to be looking at some significant improvements in the Tasseltop Park. We're looking at some other projects as well, but we'll come back with that detail and plan in the near future. So that's the American Rescue Plan report. We've been on the hunt for a bus, or a couple of buses, and so we have secured one bus, and I'm not sure, Nathan and I have a difference of opinion as to whether it's down at the station or not. He says that's not the one, but it's the one that Chris had outlined in terms of number. But so that was a donation, speaking of donations, from the RSUs for our rec program, for the ski program, for other recreational programming use. We had one on the line that we may still be moving forward with, possibly. We're going to get together, Nathan, Joe, and I, and decide on it. But it's the RSU bus, if it's as good as the one that's down there, is perfectly serviceable. But the idea being we may, ultimately need two buses, want two buses. So we're looking at another one that was originally going to be a donation, but now has morphed a little bit from a donation to a trade residual value. Once it went to the elected officials, I think, of that town, and we had.
I said, don't buy it. I said, we'll get a different one then.
Yeah. Well, so we're going to look at that one, but anyway, that's, as I say, a lot newer, a lot less mileage. But so we're working on getting some donations, and that would still be a donation off of what its real value is, significantly less than its real value, retail value. So we've been working on that together as staff members, and Joe is really excited for his winter programming and has a lot of exciting ideas. There have been some great events at the Tasseltop Park. I attended the Rotary Club meeting, which was really, and with Nathan and Joe, which was really nicely done down by the Snack Shack area. If you haven't been there and seen the grass area that Nathan and the crew and the rec folks put together, Tasseltop staff, that's really a beautiful site and appropriate for picnics. Also, movie nights. We've been having a lot of movie nights and activities like that. The screen itself was designed by Eric Woodbury and I guess a combined effort of Woodbury and Woodbury, Kevin and Eric at least. If not Kyle, I'm not sure. The Woodbury family did that, so thank you to them for the design, and that's worked out really well. And a new snack shack, new cabins, septic, bathrooms, a number of things maybe in the offing with the American Rescue money. We'll come back to you with that plan. So positive things are happening despite the ongoing pandemic, and this is an exciting night tonight. Three huge issues.
They are huge. Actually, speaking of parks, Raymond Parks and Rec, they're having a Halloween movie night on Saturday, October 30th at 4 p.m. This is a free event that all proceeds from bake sales and snacks will go towards Raymond PTO programs. So Saturday, October, Tasseltop.
And I have another one, which is kind of a non-announcement announcement. Joe answered the last one, I think, completely and correctly, appropriately, and that is, once again, one of these all deliberate municipal speeds issues, and that's the issue of broadband, high-speed internet. We didn't get sufficient funds, not Raymond, not any of the towns, to do this as a town. It's not something that's going to happen magically by the private sector alone. They may be part of the solution. I think they will be. They'll have to be in partnership with the major entity that could possibly make this happen is going to be the state of Maine, underpinned by federal funding. And I think that's eventually going to come around. All the politicians at the highest levels are talking about it, and so I think we have to be patient and wait for things to work out. And I think it is a high priority in terms of infrastructure for governmental entities, not the town of Raymond by itself. Some towns are moving forward with small projects. Some of them are real boutique projects, short runs. Others are more significant. But I think we'll be better served if we stay the course and we wait and we work with our governmental partners. Also, I should mention Cumberland County got a huge appropriation of American Rescue funds. So let's continue to monitor it. And I know there's one particular person, Peter, out in the audience, who wants to be updated periodically, and so I'll do that when I have something to report. But right now, I think the best thing is for us just to be patient and to see how things unfold and take the politicians at their word. Think that's a good idea, Joe?
Is that like twice that he's said that derogatory to politicians?
So,
Madam Chair,
Yes,
could I do a short elections commercial?
yes.
That's Don had it in his list that Tuesday, November 2nd is voting day. The polls will be open from 7 o'clock in the morning until.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get,
You didn't get that far?
yeah, I'm sorry,
And,
but go
At
ahead.
the Jordan Small Middle School gym, we are currently doing absentee voting in the town office. There is one piece that's confused a number of voters, and that's that there are signs around Raymond stating that there's a member of the school board running, and that member is running in Wyndham. Wyndham holds their municipal elections in November, and Raymond holds ours in June. So there are no ballots for school board in Raymond. Only
There
for
is no
Wyndham voters.
Pasquini that lives in Raymond.
That's correct.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people from Wyndham that drive through Raymond, so.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, I had asked him to remove the one that's in front of the town office, and he said he would, but that hasn't happened yet. Because it is confusing voters.
Put it out back.
So,
Out back in.
thank you for that. I probably would have recognized that, hopefully, but thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I guess that's it then.
All right,
Move to adjourn?
Second.
on favor? All right.
Welcome to the October 13th, 2021 Planning Board meeting for the town of Raymond. The planning board will come to order. The board does have a quorum, and we'll start with roll call. Mike?
Mike Arcangelo. Greg Foster.
Robert O'Neill?
Ed Kranich. Mark Childs.
Kevin Whitbury. This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all the exhibits that are presented. Please notify the chair if you are unable to see or hear. The board works from a published agenda and will be considering tonight's items in the following order. The only thing actually is our old is approval of minutes, and then the old business is a tabled item for the solar project. In each instance, the burden is upon the applicant to demonstrate compliance with the provisions of the applicable ordinances or state law. All persons speaking, including representatives of the applicant and members of the public, are asked to stand at the microphone and state their name, address, and affiliation with the application. All persons speaking shall address the chair. Any conversations must be held in abeyance until after the board has formally adjourned. After the board votes on the merits of each application, it will prepare a written notice of decision. Because the notice of decision may substantially affect any appeals rights, and also as a matter of courtesy, the board asks that those attending the meeting with regard to a specific application not leave until the board has completed its discussion. Appeals from adverse decisions must be filed with the Superior Court or as otherwise provided by law within 45 days of this board's decision. Also, to be certain that you preserve your individual right to file any such appeal, you must be certain that the board records evidence of your appearance this evening in opposition and the basis of your opposition. Okay. So first, let's start off with Mark. Welcome to the board. Thank you for volunteering.
Good. Thank you for having me.
We're back up to full strength. And our first order of business is approval of minutes for July 30th, August 8th, and September 8th of 2021. I think we could do this all in one shot unless there's objections.
August 11th on, I think it's the third page in, maybe the fourth page. It says, "My question of lot size requirements per page 128 of the ordinance, land use ordinance. After discussion, it was determined the lot size were permitted." And this was the issue about the lots were .47 on the Boulder Bend subdivision. I don't think we determined that they were permitted in the village residential zone at .47. I believe we had some discussion, but I don't think we made that determination. I think it was the first time a lot of us had that page.
Correct.
And so there was some discussion, and my thought was that Dustin Roma was going to sort of check and see if there was any other language that might make this particular language not applicable, but I haven't found any.
Well, I think you did, didn't you go back, Jim, didn't you go back and recalculate? Wasn't that the recalculation that?
No, the plan that was submitted today by email
Right.
still has 2 lots
I
at
didn't look at that
0.47.
plan. Okay.
And also, well, it's another issue, but anyway.
All right, so how would you, could you give us, did you work on
Well, I would rather have language saying that the, after discussion, it was left that perhaps those lots are, in fact, need to be 1/2 acre, that all lots need to be at least a 1/2 acre.
Oh. Was that a yes, you got that, Sandy?
Got it.
Okay.
Fix that.
All right. And is there something else, Mike? Or?
Right.
You have something else?
No.
Okay.
I have another question on the same page. Second paragraph up from the bottom. Let's see. Jim confirms stating electric running from Webb's Mills Road to the utility easement. 3-phase underground would be very intensive. Was that expensive?
Expensive.
Expensive.
Okay.
Expensive.
All right, so we just got to correct that word.
Okay, intensive.
It is intensive.
Yeah.
But it was expensive.
It is on the same, so.
Yeah, no. When we have masks on, it's probably not very clear either.
True.
Anything else? Is there a motion to approve?
A motion to approve with the 2 corrections noted.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Mark, we're going to log you in as an abstention because you have to actually be at the meeting in order to be able to vote for the minutes.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, next item is our table item for the solar project. Before we get going, just for you guys, the board does not accept anything that comes in, certainly not the day before. And we have modified that to like a week or 2 weeks before, but it is a volunteer board. Some of us have other things to do during the day, and we do not have an adequate amount of time to review any submission that we would actually have wound up getting this morning. I am comfortable with proceeding as long as there is, I know you probably would like approval if that's the goal, but as long as there is nothing in that package that requires the board to act on this, then I would be fine with proceeding with it. But if there is things that you are going to reference that are in that package that the board has required, then we are just going to not get anywhere, and there's no reason to take it off the table.
I think, let's proceed.
Okay, so you can proceed.
Yes, because we had submitted a package within the time frame already.
Correct.
So
May I
that's
have your attention? When speaking, please
Oh,
keep the proximity.
my fault.
Thank you.
Sorry, Alexa.
Wow.
Okay, there you go. I'm sorry. Yep.
Okay, so, yeah, maybe I'll just start over.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, just
My name's Chris Spires. I work for VRI Environmental, and
I'm Dale Knapp with VRI Environmental. Colin Saxon with Blue Wave Solar.
Thank you.
great. So, yeah, I think it would be great to proceed. We had submitted that initial package of materials that is definitely something we want to talk about.
Okay.
What we provided yesterday in some ways meets many of some of the conditions that Jim had outlined in his memo, and maybe was, oh, that one's not working. I don't know if that was on or not. Okay. Okay. So, they are very minor. Like, for example,